This video is looking at how to delete prior year and future year records from the DPC file. So this is in a situation where, say, you're working on the 2012 financial year accounts for the client, and after you've imported their updated Doctor's Pay calculator files into the new software, you can see that it actually contains information from, say, the 2011 year and also the 2013 year. This can occur quite often because the clients may completely forget to start a new file at the end of each financial year, or they may not have wanted to and they just want to keep it all the same. But to keep your tax accounting work really simple, what you want to do is you just want to have a file here that only contains the 2012 financial year records or the relevant year you're working on. Easiest way to do this is what you need to do is you need to go into the Doctor's Pays area. You need to click on Go to Calculation Sheet. Click OK. And what you're seeing here at the moment is we've got 17 records. Now obviously this file here only has got a few records, so it's not a complete full financial year, but there's enough in here to give you an idea of what the issue is. So if we scroll through, you can see there's some July pays, January, so these are the 2012 here. Scroll through, you can see one here, 30 June 2011. Now that's a 2011 year record. I'm not going to need that for my tax work. And again, keep going, there's another 2011 year, and we've got a 2012 year record as well. So what I want to do is I want to do a find and remove the records that are not relevant to the year. So the way you need to do is, and before you do this, please make sure you have a backup copy of the files that the client has emailed across to us. So if there is an error or you do need to go back and re-import it in, you can, without having to bother the client again. So the way you need to do this is, at the moment, you need to look at the total records that are sitting in Doctor's Pay calculator. So it's telling you there's a total of 17 records. Now, what that means is the 17 records which make up the 2011, 2012 and a little bit of the 2013 financial year. So what I want to do is I actually want to do a find on how many records actually relate to the tax year I'm working on, which is 2012 for this example. So the way I do that is you click on Find, select 1st of July 2011, put your cursor back in the pay period ending box again and click twice so it's flashing. 3 dots on your keyboard for a date range, or alternatively you can pick it from the menu here. Back in there, and I need to put the 30th of June 2012. And remember, it needs to be American when you're typing it in. You need to type it in for the second date because it does not come up with the second calendar option. So what you do is either click Form Find or Enter on your keyboard. I'm going to use Enter. Now what it's saying now, it's about 13 records out of the 17 that relate to the 2012 financial year. So pretty much you're going to end up with a file that only contains 13 records. So the next step is you want to find what records relate prior to the financial year. So again, click on Find. And we're going to go and select Operators first. And I want it to be less than or equal to 30th of June 2011. So again, just type it in. So American version. So I want all records that are equal to the 30th of June or before 2011. So again, either Form Find or Enter. And what you can see, it's now picked up. It says 3 records relate to before the 2012 year. So what that means is the previous find I found 13 that relate to 2012 year. Got 3 that relate to the 2011 year. So in total I've now found that there's 16 records so far in the file. That means there's another 1 record sitting in there that we haven't been able to account for. So more than likely that'll be because it might be the current, I will say the current financial year being 2013. But just to check that, before you go deleting records, you just perform a last find and you go Find. We're going to do a search on any records that are post 2012. So again, you go greater than or equal to. We go 1st of July 2012. Enter, and there you go. It's now found 1 that relates to the 2012 year. And as you can see, by totalling up from all these finds, you've now been able to account for all 17 records. The reason why you need to do this is occasionally a client may have entered a record in where they forget to put a date, or the date could be wrong, it could be duplicated. You want to make sure that before you delete them, you know how many you should be deleting at each point in time. So now I've been able to account for them all. The next stage is I want to actually go and delete. So the first thing I'll do is I'll delete the prior year. So again, do a find. Less than or equal to 30th of June 2011. There we go. It's picked up the 3 records. What I want to do is I actually want to delete this. So I go records, delete found records. That says do you want to permanently delete all these? You go OK. You can now see it's gone from 17 records down to 14. Now the last one I want to get rid of is obviously the record that's post 2012 year. So again, you go find, stick your cursor in there, click greater than or equal to 1st of July 2012. Enter. Again, it's found one record which is post 2012, and I actually want to get rid of that. So you go records, delete found records, delete all. You now have 13 records remaining in there, which is what we should have had based on our original find. Now the last thing is, before you go and do and delete records, the only other recommendation I do is when you are performing a find initially on the current financial year, which being 1st of July, 1, 2, 3 to 30th of June. We did this find and it said originally that was 13 out of the 17 records there. Before you delete it again, just to get a quick spot check to make sure that there hasn't been any errors or you haven't accidentally overwritten dates, you just want to go return to pay menu. So go to check and banking summary, just click refresh. If you want to scroll right down the bottom, there's a total service fee figure here sitting here of $161,189.99, which includes GST. You want to take a quick cross match to see if this actually reconciles to the QuickBooks Online total expense that's leaving the profit and loss statement for the financial year. What this will do is it allows you to make sure that, okay, you're not deleting records that shouldn't be deleted, or what can occasionally happen is the client may have, say, a record missing. They may have processed the record, say, for the August pay. Before they've sent it to you, they've accidentally overwritten it and they've changed that. Instead of 2011, it might be 2010. So when you're doing your find and deleting records, that would not be obvious to you. So the quick way I do it is just have a quick sort of high-level check on these figures to see if they feel about right. Whereas if this was saying 161,000, but my QuickBooks file or my file saying 200,000 for a service fee, I can tell straight away there's probably 3 records or 4 records that are missing. So that's, I guess, your high-level check. And then your next level check you can go down to is you go back into your calculation sheet. You can do a find on each doctor and just see how many pays that each doctor has for the financial year. Obviously, a simple client where they've got a doctor that's there for 12 months of the year should have 12 pays if they're being paid monthly. Fortnightly, you double it. Just get a bit of a feel from there before you start deleting. So the worst thing is that you want to start deleting the records, you get into analysing all the figures and you realise one of the records are missing. If you are unsure, you can probably just check with the client how many pays they expect to have for each doctor, if you have got a feeling that something has gone wrong with the file. That's it.